Hey there Luma, this beauty right here is the Garter heart square stitch pattern, and I'm Denise from loomhat.com. I'm so super happy to have the opportunity to teach you how to knit this sweet fabric that, although it doesn't look exactly the same on the reverse side, I think you'll agree with me that it's still a great looking fabric. You can clearly see the little hearts as well as the squares. They're clearly defined, and that makes it great for projects like blankets and scarves and washcloths. Now, as always, I want to give you that heads up that this is a stitch pattern only video, and so there's no cast on or cast off, because the project, not the stitch, is what determines how you start and end. All right, without further ado, let's start with row 1, which is super easy because all you're going to do is knit the row. So from beginning to end on this row, you're just doing knit stitches. I'm going to be using the flat version of the knit stitch, so I take my working yarn and put it over the existing loop and take the bottom loop over the top and knit off. And so I'm doing the whole row. Now this stitch has a multiple of 15. In my case, I'm going to repeat those 15 stitches 2 times, and you will see that at the end of my row I have 2 additional stitches, and that's to balance off the stitch. So I'll show you what I do as I knit. And by the way, I do use stitch markers to mark off those 15 stitches plus the last 2. So as I said, I'll explain as I go along, but for now you're just going to knit this row real easy. For row 2, which is going to be on the other end of the knitting loom, you're going to just purl the row. So all your stitches will be purl stitches. So remember that I explained that the 2 last stitches I've added in order to balance the pattern off, and I'll explain as I go, but for now know that they will always be purl stitches, and I'll explain later. To do a purl stitch, you're going to take a working yarn, put it under the existing loop, from the top scoop up to create a new loop, take the existing loop off the peg, put the new loop on and pull. And you're going to do that again. From the top, scoop up, create a new loop, take the old one off, put the new one on and pull. And you're going to continue to do that for this row. Remember that this is a flat version of this pattern, so we're just going back and forth from one end to the other. If you want to do this in the round, you'll need to get the written pattern, and that will be available at loomhat.store. So finish knitting all of your purls until you reach the other end, and then you're going to turn around again because you're knitting flat, and you're going to knit row 3. So from edge to edge you're knitting, and remember this is the stitch pattern, so you might have picked a different edge. Okay, we're only talking stitch pattern. Now for row 4, you're going to turn around and purl the whole row. So just purl, and then for row 5, super easy, right? Sounds like a garter stitch here. You're going to knit the row. So from beginning to end, you're just going to knit. Row 6 is a bit different. So for row 6 and all even rows, which means row 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, all even rows, you're going to knit 13 and purl 2, which is 15 in total, right? Now remember, I have those 2 stitches at the end, which are my edges. I always purl them. They're not part of the stitch pattern, which is the 13 knit stitches and then 2 purls right here. All right, so let's go back to the beginning. We're going to knit 13 knit stitches, and going in this direction, I prefer to use the U-wrap knit stitch. It's another version. All you're going to do is half wrap the peg and knit off. I use it interchangeably with the flat. They're both knit stitches, they're just different versions, and you can use the other version, which is also called a true and is sometimes called the classic knit stitch. So any one of those, even the E-wrap, if you use the E-wrap on a large gauge, use a chunky yarn. All right, here's the end of my row. I'm going to do 2 purl stitches, and you guys already know how to purl. And in my case, for my swatch, I repeated these 15 stitches one more time, so 2 in total. That's row 6, and then just remember that you're going to do this same knit 13 purl 2 for all your even rows. And now you're ready for row 7. This one's pretty easy. You're just going to knit 8, purl 1, and then knit 6. Remember, we're knitting flat, so I'm on the other end, and we're going to go pretty fast because you guys already know how to do these knit stitches. On this side, again, I like to use the flat version, so I put my working yarn over the existing loop, put the top over, and knit off, and then 1 purl and 6 knit stitches. You're going to repeat as necessary for your project. I'm going to repeat it one more time, and then we're ready for row 8. Row 8, like row 6, is an even number, and so you're going to again do those 13 knit stitches and then 2 purl stitches, like all even numbered rows. So I'm going to go ahead and get to row 9 because you already know how to do row 8, and we're going to knit 7, purl 3, and then knit 5 for row 9. So I'm going to be using the flat version of the knit stitch. I'm on the other side of the knitting loom, and I'm going to do those 7 knit stitches first. When I'm done doing the 7 knit stitches, I'm going to follow those with 3 purl stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. Here's my third stitch, my third purl, and I'm going to follow that with 5 knit stitches. And remember that in this direction, I just happen to like using the flat. You can use the true or even the E-wrap. Just remember that if you do, you need a chunkier yarn or a smaller gauge loom. I know you already know this, but row 10 is an even number, and so you're going to knit 13 and purl 2 again. Then you're ready for row 11, and for this row you're going to knit 5, purl 7, and then knit 3. If you add them all together, you get 15 pegs, right? So let's start with those 5 knit stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you're going to do a whole row of 7 purls. So start doing your purls. This is basically the middle of the heart. That's why it has a lot of purls. And if you notice, what's going to happen is that that next row, which has a lot of knits, is what creates that garter stitch. That's why the heart looks like a garter stitch, because you do rows of purls, and then on top of them you're going to have rows of knits. All right, do your 3 knit stitches, and you're done with that row. And of course, you already know that row 12, well, 12 is an even number. And so you already know this, but here we go. Knit 13 and purl 2, and then you're ready for row 13. You know 13 is a lucky number, right? All right, if you didn't, I'm letting you know. You're going to do 4 knit stitches, 9 purls, and end that with 2 knit stitches. So let's get to it. So we start with those 4 knit stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you have the 9 purl stitches. So you do those 9. By the way, you see that I have that marker at the end with those 2. That's because when I end the other rows, the even rows, I'm ending with those 2 purl stitches, so I like to mark them off. That's why you see that stitch marker there. All right, so you did your 9 your 9 purl stitches, and then you're going to end the row with 2 knit stitches. Then you're ready for row 14. Guess what? You know this, but I'm letting you know anyway. 14 is an even number, and so you're going to knit 13 and purl 2. Then you're ready for row 15, and here you're going to knit 4, purl 4, knit 1, purl 4, knit 2. You got that? If you didn't, you can look at it on the screen because I wrote it down for you. Let's get to it. Start off with those 4 knit stitches, and then you're going to do 4 purls. Now this is that little top part of the heart. That's why you have those 4 purls, and then that's going to be followed by 1 knit and then 4 purls again, right? That little hump on the top of the heart. Then you're going to, once you do those 4 purls, you're going to end your row super easy with just 2 knit stitches, and then you repeat that as many times as necessary for your pattern. You're then ready for row 16, which, ta-da, 16 is an even number, so you're going to knit 13 and purl 2, and then you're ready for row 17, where you're going to knit 5, purl 2, knit 3, purl 2, and knit 3. Almost sounds like a song. So on this row 17, you're going to go ahead and do 5 knit stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Follow that with 2 purls. So here's my 2, 1, and then 2. And you're going to follow those with 3 knit stitches. Now remember, this is the very tippy top of that heart. All right, you're then going to do 2 more purl stitches, and you're going to end this row with 3 knit stitches, and that's going to end row 17. All right, here's my 3 knit stitches, and then your next row, of course, is row 18, which is a even row. And like all even rows, you guys already know this, but I'm going to say it again. You're going to knit 13 and purl 2. You're then ready for row 19, and on row 19, which is super easy, all you're doing is knitting the row. Now it says knit 15 because that's the multiple, that's how many stitches you need to complete the row. So you're basically knitting a row. All right, let me take this time to say, if you haven't already subscribed, do so. Be sure to click on that bell so you'll be reminded. And very important that you share my videos. That helps me big time. By the way, you're not done yet, but let me tell you that if you need this pattern, you're going to go to loomahead.store. If you sign up for the newsletter, you'll get lots of goodies, including free stuff and coupons every month. So be sure to do that. All right, guys, keep knitting. Remember, you have to knit this row, and you're not done yet, but I do want to stop and say thanks for staying this long with me. Now your last row is row 20. It is an even row, and of course, like all even rows, which I'm repeating again, you're going to knit 13 and purl 2, and then all you have to do is you're going to repeat rows 1 through 20 as many times as is necessary for your project. Guys, thank you so much. Thanks for watching till the end. I really appreciate it, and hang tight because YouTube is going to recommend some videos they think you will like, and I think so too. And don't forget to come back and loom with me again. Bye.